Hey everybody, Jeremy here. I want to take a look at Heroes of the Realm. I did a episode of Browsy and showcase it. I'm returning just to do some Let's Play videos to show off some of the fights and just have more gaming videos. I want to go over the ways you can customize your armies before battle. And there's a few different ways and things you can do, and then those things combine for you to keep doing as you level up and get better. One of the things you do right away is you will get your rally point up, and you will assign your heroes to your army. Now, depending on your level, your experience, and all that, you'll have different requisition costs, which basically mean how many heroes can you currently have in your army. Like when you first begin, your requisition cost is like between 5 and 9, and the number corresponds with the stars. The stars on the cards are the tier level of of your hero. So this is Jophia. She is a tier 3, which is pretty good. I don't have many of those. So that would eat up 3 requisition points for my cost. And as you can see, I've gotten quite a few now. I think I've got my max possible in my hand or deck. And this is the order tab. There's other tabs here we're going to hit real briefly, but this is your order tab, and I believe this responds to the order in which your heroes take their turns in relation to each other and in relation to the enemy. And there's a handy dandy little bar graph here. It's really nice, that helps you adjust this to get the most optimal order. And it can even help you decide if you want to swap in different heroes or not. Now, one thing to be careful of is this quality rating on your cards. It's right below the number of your cards, which is the days left. This is the condition, and right now this one is tired. Hero's condition changes once a day. When the hero is in perfect, the stats are increased. The condition, it's changed at midnight each night. I believe that's Pacific time. So for East, that'd be like 9 p.m. at night for U.S. Eastern Standard Time. So this is a it's sort of random. You can't really control this. So just be careful when you're building what you think is your optimal build. Now, if you prefer to really, dig in, it is kind of fun. It provides a gameplay experience that's ongoing and ever changing. So I could literally right now start changing things around to get my bar graph up into the good across the board. Now tomorrow, this one character here, Junia, might have a really good condition. Hers might be pointing up like this one, which is excellent, and then my stats are increased by 10%. Not only are my stats not decreased, but they'll be increased by 10%. So that will drastically change what your optimal order looks like. Now, in formation, you'll come in here and you'll have a grid-based setup. Now, you won't have the possibility of putting your heroes anywhere you want within this grid. You'll have a certain formation, which I'm totally filling up here, but where all my guys are where my possible locations are. So basically this is easy to kind of start with. I put all my ranged, like my bow, archer, and casters in the back because they're weaker, and their casters are long ranged. I put usually all my defenders in the front, and then I put my chargers and fighters in the middle. Now, formation setups or possible formation setups will change as I level up, and I don't even know exactly what all other features will make it change. But that's one thing to think about when before you go into battle. Now, another thing that will affect your outcome is as you buy cards and are just playing the game and doing everything in the game, like buying cards and trying to collect new heroes, you'll get sets and you'll get collections. And like basically a collection might be like you might have collected Owen, Durth, and Jophia, and that might be a collection. And when you get that collection, it unlocks the collection bonus, which you'll see here. And they're ranked between 1 and 5, which are equivalent to the tier level of your card. So I do have 2 tier 3 bonuses, which are awesome right now. And I want to show you something that gets into what is called synergy. This, I have the perfect ratio, and I got this by using 5 male and 5 female hero cards, and it is a nice boost. All stats +4, resist all +10, so that's really nice to have. And I also have collected a wind and earth for having 3 or more wind types and 3 or more earth type, all in my deck. And I get hero strength. All my heroes, all of them, I think all of them, or just the ones that are highlighted, have +5, and my hero's intelligence is +5. And I might hit back on collection again real quick, but the AI setting is really interesting to me. This reminds me of old school console-based RPGs, and not really old ones, I guess, but like I think there was a bit of this type of selection customization in Chrono Cross, and even in one of the later Final Fantasy games, or maybe it was the latest Final Fantasy Tactics game that had come out on the DS Lite, where you controlled your whole army, but you would so in advance you would set up how your army would react in battle. Well, that's essentially this. You have your I kept saying 6 class types, so you have your 5 class types, and they are all effective against 2, or optimal against 2 other class types. So defenders are optimal against range and archer, ranger optimal against caster and fighter, fighters are optimal against defender and charger, and so on. But what's interesting is there's a little bit of overlap. Rangers are good against fighter and caster. Chargers are good against ranged and caster. So both chargers and range are both good against casters. But also the charger's good against ranged. Well, fighters or defenders are good against ranged and chargers. So that's neat. I like that because it adds, I don't know, that to me is adding fun gameplay value to me. But you can set the effectiveness, nearest, and low HP of any of these classes and then save them. And it's percentage based, so I could literally, and you cannot go over 100% because it's percentage based, but it will take care of that for you. As you can see, it's not letting me go over a total of 100 in any one of these. So if I knew my enemy had a bunch that I was about to attack his city or something, and I scouted him, and so I got to see what his current army looks like, and I know he has a ton of casters, I could bump effectiveness against fighters and casters on my ranged up, and then on my charger up as well. So my chargers will be like bam, 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 going straight for his casters, right? And I could do the same just depending on what my scouting parties find, or even for the PvE portion of the game, it'll work like that. But those are some things and ways you can set up your army beforehand, and because when you actually fight, it looks like this. It's just automatic. and it plays out, and you just watch to see how well you did. Now I can, because I've already played this battle, I can now speed it up, and I can even skip it. See, bam. I just skipped it. And so, when you start leveling up, you might want to start grinding a little bit. You have your choice, which is cool. So I could sit here and I could speed up. I could start going quick. I could be like, oh man, I want to get through this. I want to level up. I want to get through this, you know. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm like bam, 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 trying to get through this, and so on. Now, the first time you fight a brand new fight, you have to watch it. You have to watch it play through. But then after that, you can skip it and even speed it up to 2 times or 4 times speed. Now, if you noticed, when I was fighting, I'm on the left, and they're on the right. Now, what are these little things that look like little cards next to some of my heroes? These are buff cards. I'll show them here. I'll show you how to add these buff cards. This is something else you can do to affect your army beforehand, before a battle. You'll get a mystic, which I need to level mine up. Mine's only level 1. And here you can buy randomly selected buff cards that will affect your army and or your individual classes. So I can go ahead and buy one for 1,000 gold, and bam, it's random. This is what I got. I've got Corniferous, and these are time-based too, time-sensitive. So Memories of Corniferous is one of blah blah blah. A hero's strength slightly. It increases the hero's strength slightly. That might seem ambiguous, but all you have to do is go to the Apply tab to see the exact number of the effect. So where's Corniferous? Right here. The actual effect for Corniferous is Strength plus 5. And it doesn't seem to be specific to any class or anything like that. Now you can see what I have currently running. I have an army card, which right now I can only have one at a time. And this one is to increase the wisdom of human heroes. So that's why when you saw me, I didn't have this icon next to all my heroes. It's just for my human heroes. And now here's my individual. Right now I can only hit up to 3 individual heroes. So I have will plus 5 for my one charger. I have wisdom, which is like magic defense, for my charger, and I have strength plus 11 for my fighter, which is kind of cool. Now that will significantly help me, especially in PvP. So that's another way to boost and customize your army beforehand. I love this because it really hits home to me personally, like old school RPGs when I used to play on the Nintendo 8-bit system, and when I started even up into PlayStation 1 and playing Final Fantasies, because a lot of those RPGs, a lot of them back in the day, I mean, old tactics-based or strategy and tactics-based RPGs got going and started working and started mixing things up. And even more recently, games on the console like Soul Nomad and the World Eaters is a game I really, really love. It takes the wacky sensibility of Disgaea and combines it with squad-based action alongside tactics-based, turn-based tactics gameplay. So, it's pretty much the same fundamental structure for Soul Nomad as a game like this, as a game like Heroes of the Realm. You basically make an army beforehand, and you get that army by leveling up and getting stronger in Soul Nomad. And then you unlock things. You will start getting access to a wider variety of heroes, which each have their own abilities, pros and cons. Then you can even get rooms. I love Soul Nomad because it really gets over the top, just like Disgaea did with what Disgaea, Disgaea is more straight tactics. But Soul Nomad and the World Eaters, you buy a room, and the rooms have all kinds of different conditions, adds bonuses, have different formations, allows different amounts of an army on it to affect the overall outcome. Then when you're playing the game, you're in your traditional tactics-based world, where you're on a grid map, you're moving just like Disgaea. But then when you're fighting, when you engage, you just watch. You just watch. Just like here in Heroes of the Realm. You're on your, if you'd imagine this is Soul Nomad, you're just, when you engage, it's the same as this. Well, of course the graphics are different. What in Soul Nomad you have this a divider line, and you simply see an attack, and then the camera will pan, and it will make it all flashy to make it look cool, and the graphics are different too. That's a guilty pleasure I have. It's just something I love. I'm sorry, I'm getting the game sounds over top of what I'm saying. That's something I love. I mean, I think it's a guilty pleasure, but I love seeing that pop up in the browser-based MMOs right now. I love it. I mean, even these other browser games that I don't particularly like there's one called Call of Gods, which is interesting in its own way, but to me it falls flat in too many ways for me to stick with it. But the combat is a very interesting grid-based thing where you set up your troops and your army, and you buy your army like traditional time management games, and then you have a little bit of control over assigning their, like, whether they're in the front row, or whether they're the vanguards or they're the archers you're setting in the back row. And I'm going to show it off on Browsy, but it's an interesting take on a little fighting, watching a little fight scene play out. And there's a ton of other games that I like too. I could go on and on. Even the games I really dislike or dislike to different degrees, like one's called Warflow, and this is more of an Asian game, and it's really popular in the time management realm, where you just kind of are basically just clicking to raise those buildings, and you don't even really have much choice on how you raise those buildings. And then you get into like the fights. They are doing these really fun little fights to watch, and essentially you're mostly just watching, like I said. Of course, I think the more customization you have beforehand, the better, the more fun I have with it. But I don't think it's... I don't know, it just depends. With Warflow, it's really fun because games like that are trying to portray entire armies fighting at once. So you'll see little grid-based, just like on the graphical side of the game, when the fight's actually playing out, you'll see little groups of men. They're tiny, 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 but like there'll be little squares, and you see like about a dozen little silver sticks poking out to represent spears or whatever, basically to show that it's a whole army. And I like that, and it shows them battle out against a whole nother platoon or a whole nother army, and it's just, I don't know. It's a guilty pleasure, I know, but I love that stuff. And I think I get that from console-based RPGs, though. I think that's ultimately where that comes from, because really a lot of games have done that in the past on different consoles. You just simply you have a selection of ways to customize your characters, and then you go into battle. And those customizations can help determine, but there's usually also a chance-based aspect that takes place. So it's a combination of that. But that's gonna wrap this up. This was just sort of Let's Play. I wanted to show and share my ongoing adventures in Here's the Realm. This isn't technically an episode of Browse or anything, just a Let's Play. So I'll see you guys in the next video. If you have any comments or questions, just let me know.